Hi there guys, got a video here for you today on a brand new rifle, the Daystate Blackwolf. Now this rifle has been lent to me by Daystate to see what I think of the rifle and also show off a few of the internals. Before we get into specifics though, I want to take you downrange and show you why I like the rifle so much. Right then, so here we are all set up in Pete's Airgun Farm in the 50-yard range. I have the rifle set up on an Accutac bipod with a rear bag at the back, and I'm just doing some 5-shot groups out at 50 yards. I'm using the JSB Express pellets, which have performed very well for me through this rifle. As the groups appear, you'll see that the rifle is performing phenomenally. The group on the far left was done to get a rough 0, then the rest are pretty much going through the same hole right on target. Super impressive from an unmodified rifle straight out of the box. And I will say that there are quite a few new features on this rifle, but one of my favourites so far is the trigger system. It's a fully adjustable cassette style trigger, and it has been an absolute joy to use so far. We'll be taking a good look at the trigger very shortly. For now though, let's go back over to the bench and I'll show you those groups. Right then, and here is the target we shot on camera. You saw me shooting these 4 groups, I believe. I'm not quite sure how many I'll show for the video, but definitely those 4 groups were shot on camera. So they're all done at 50 yards using JSB Express pellets. This row here was done at 50 yards using the JSB 8.44 grain pellets. And then these 2 rows down here at the bottom were done at 40 yards. So some really nice tight little groups here. If we take a set of calipers and just measure one of these at the top here. So what's that? Probably a 10mm edge to edge group there, and then probably another one somewhere around there. So 11mm edge to edge. Super impressive from an out the box production rifle. And obviously this is all done by a 177 sub 12 pound rifle. At the closer ranges, the rifle will put the pellets pretty much through the same hole. So all of these groups here were done at 30 yards, and there are 5 pellets in each one. So as you can see, they're pretty much going through the same hole. So super impressive with this rifle. I really do like shooting it. Right then, with that all out the way, let's get into some details. So the rifle that I have in front of us here is a sub 12 pound 177 Blackwolf in the beautiful carbon grey stock. This particular rifle is fitted with the bottle on the front, although there is also a cylinder configuration if you prefer that style. The rifle itself is fully mechanical. It's side lever, magazine fed, and it also has an inbuilt regulator. The rifle itself is built as a totally modular platform, so if you want to, you can swap stocks, you can swap the bottle out for a cylinder if you so choose, and then you can obviously change calibers to suit your requirements. So for example, if you bought the rifle with the carbon grey stock, a cylinder and in 177 caliber, and in a few months time you wanted to change over to the chassis with a bottle in 22 caliber, that would be totally possible and very easy to swap over. If you are a high power user, you will also be able to swap out the hammer springs and over to different barrel lengths. So this particular rifle has the 17-inch barrel, although for the FAC rifles, they will be coming in 23-inch and 28-inch. We'll talk a little more about that when we take a closer look at the barrels. For now though, on screen will be a few of the configurations available for the Blackwolf. And feel free to just pause the video and take a quick look through the different configurations. My personal favourites are the cylinder chassis rifle and the laminate bottle rifle. Right then, let's start talking about some of the features of the rifle, starting with the stocks. Now, all the stocks available for this rifle are fully ambidextrous. They all have an adjustable up and down cheek piece, and they all have an M-lock fitting on the front just here, so you can attach a bipod or something like that if you so choose. Another nice feature about these stocks is that they're designed to be nice and low profile. A low profile stock is better for rifle maneuverability and placement, as well as limiting the effects of rifle cant. Another nice detail about these stocks is that the screws that hold the M-lock fitting onto the bottom aren't just wood screws screwed directly into the stock. On the back there are a couple of top hat ferrules which hold the M-lock plate in position. So you never have to worry about the M-lock fitting coming out or coming loose, and it's done properly from the factory. Other than that, you can also move the butt pad up and down, and as the stocks are fully ambidextrous, you can also swap the cocking over to the other side if you so choose, as well as the safety. So you can have the safety on the right or left hand side, depending on your preference. Right then, before we get into the action, the next thing I want to show off very briefly is the magazines. So Daystate rifles always have nice magazines, and this one is no different. What we have here is a full metal rotary style magazine, and if you've never loaded one of these before, it's nice and simple. All you do is rotate the drum around until it stops, then take your first pellet and drop it in this hole here, at which point you can let the drum go and then continue to load the rest of the pellets. Once you're finished, you close the lid like so, and then install that into your rifle. So I'll just take the pellet out for demonstration purposes. You would then cock your rifle and install the mag, just like so. As you can see, the magazine itself sticks nice and close to the Picatinny rail, so you won't have any issue with the mag coming into contact with your scope or anything like that. And I will say, whilst we are here, that the magazine itself is slightly different from the one found on both the Red Wolf and Delta and Alpha Wolf models. However, I'm pretty sure it's the same one as the BRK Ranger series of rifles, or XRs. Right then, so next up we're going to move on over to the action, and there is an awful lot to talk about here, so I'm just going to go through the rifle piece by piece, starting off with the barrel. So on this particular rifle, it is a super high quality Lothar Walther choked barrel in 177 caliber and 17 inches in overall length. The barrel is fully shrouded, and the shroud does feature a 1/2 inch UNF on the end, so you can screw a mod on if you want to. To unscrew the shroud, it simply unscrews from the back here, and removing the shroud will give us a look at the tensioned barrel setup. So here we have the tensioned barrel setup. I will say on the grey carbon stocked rifles, this is an option, however it has been fitted to this particular rifle. Now the purpose of a barrel tensioner is simply to improve barrel rigidity and therefore accuracy. The way this system works is two ends are screwed onto the barrel, and those two ends are trying to compress a carbon fibre tube. Because the carbon fibre tube is really quite hard to compress, it puts the barrel in tension, basically pulling it from either end. I'll pull the barrel out very shortly. Before we get into that though, I do want to mention that this rifle is available in 177 and 22 for the sub 12 pound rifles, and 177, 22, 25 and 30 for the higher power models. The sub 12 pound rifles all use a 17 inch barrel, and the high power models use both the 23 inch barrel and the 28 inch barrel depending on configuration. The 28 inch barrel is designed specifically for shooting slugs, and as I said before, you can chop and change as you choose. To pull the barrel out, it's nice and simple. All we do is loosen these two grub screws in the top here using a 3mm Allen key. With those two loose, we can just slide the barrel at the front here, and I'll get you a closer look at that tension setup. So we have a couple of flats on the end here, and under this piece here, if we were to take this off, we can see another couple of flats, so you can tighten the tensioner onto the barrel. So there, those two pieces are there. Moving on from that is the new cassette style trigger, probably one of my favourite new features on the rifle. I love a good trigger and this one is absolutely excellent. Adjustable in almost every way. You have first stage travel, first stage weight, trigger position, trigger shoe position, second stage travel and travel after shot. It's a wonderful bit of kit. I have it set to around 9 ounces pull weight, but you can have it anywhere between 8 ounces and 3.5 pounds. As I said earlier, it's a cassette style trigger, so you can remove it from the rifle without losing any of your trigger adjustments. Very handy if you want to take the rifle apart to carry out some basic maintenance or something like that. Right then, moving on from that, the next feature I want to talk about is the external power adjuster, the power wheel on the back. So this is very similar to the one found on the Ghost, and it's a system that we all know and love. It allows you to quickly change the power of the rifle, perfect for fine-tuning pellet or slug speed. This particular rifle is running around 785 feet per second when on max using JSB 8.44 grain exacts, and each turn of the wheel reduces the feet per second by around 5 to 8 on average. I've personally found that setting 18 gave me the best groups with this particular rifle. However, it's always worth playing around with the adjuster to get the most out of your rifle. And here's just a very quick look at the system out of the rifle. So when in the rifle, the power wheel would be in a fixed position in this way. And as we turn it, it moves the hammer spring adjuster, this piece here, backwards or forwards, increasing or decreasing the amount of hammer spring tension on the back of the hammer. The other thing that I want to mention whilst we're here is that the FAC users or high power users amongst you will also be able to change out the spring for higher and lower tensions in order to get the feet per second that you're looking for. Right then, next up what I've gone ahead and done is fully degas the rifle, and we're going to be taking a look at the pressurized components. So what I've done here is remove the front block, and what this does is houses the bottle connection or cylinder connection and regulator. So this is the rifle regulator right here. We'll be taking a closer look at that very shortly. So this part here can be swapped out as you so choose if you want to put a cylinder onto the front of the rifle. And the bottle that we have on the front here is a 480cc carbon fibre bottle, and it cannot be removed from the front housing whilst the rifle is pressurised up. So there's no valve on the bottle. This is a fixed unit when the rifle is pressurised. It can, however, be swapped when the rifle is empty, so if we wanted to, we could unscrew the bottle, put either a larger 580cc carbon fibre bottle on the front or a smaller 300cc one. The thread on the bottle housing here is the standard M18 by 1.5 thread, which is standard for most aftermarket bottles. And whilst we're here, I will also mention that the standard cylinder is 300cc's, although it is possible to get a shorter 200cc one in the near future. Both the bottle and the cylinder have a maximum fill pressure of 250 bar, and I will also mention that on this piece here we have two gauges. So this gauge on this side shows our cylinder pressure, and then the other one on this side shows our regulator pressure. From a full 250 bar fill with this particular rifle, I was getting around 400 shots. And as the cylinder version is slightly less capacity, I would expect around 250 shots from the cylinder version. Moving on to the regulator is made by Humor, and as always the Humor regs are super high quality, very well made, and overall this is a fantastic little regulator. I did about 100 shots over the chronograph using unweighed unsalted pellets and got an extreme feet per second of around 8. Again, super impressive from a factory untuned rifle. And the other thing that I want to mention is that the regulator is externally adjustable. So you can adjust the reg pressure up whilst the rifle is pressurized. However, to adjust the regulator pressure down, you will have to fully degas the rifle. To adjust the regulator, it's nice and simple. We have the brass adjuster screw in the end here. If we want to raise regulator pressure, we simply need to turn this anti-clockwise or wind the screw out. And if we want to lower the regulator pressure, we need to wind it in or clockwise. Again, winding the regulator adjuster screw in can only be done when the rifle is fully degassed. Right then, next thing I want to show you is the valve. So there's a few interesting things about this. Before we get too far into it though, I do very briefly want to mention that the sub 12 and high power valves are slightly different. So the high power rifles use a balance style valve, which is more efficient and allows the rifle to achieve a higher max power. The sub 12 pound rifles use a standard valve arrangement that is better suited to lower power. Both valves, however, use a titanium valve pin, and this is beneficial as it's much lighter than a standard steel or stainless steel valve. And what this does is allow the valve to react more quickly to external forces. Basically, what this means is the valve will open and close a lot faster, speeding up the cycle time of the rifle, both improving efficiency and allowing the rifle to achieve a higher power for less effort. The one that we have laid out here is the sub 12 pound valve, and when it's all built up together, it should look something like this. So we have the valve housing, we have the valve seal, and the valve pin at the end here. We have our valve return spring, which is this piece here. We have the valve backing plate, which is this piece here, and that all gets held in the rifle, and when it's all built up, it should look something like that. So as the rifle gets fired, the hammer hits the valve, opens this piece, and allows air to travel through that hole there. Right then, the last thing I want to do is just give you a close-up look at the block and point out the last couple of features. So to begin with, we have a Picatinny rail on top. This is where you would attach your scope. The Picatinny rail does have 20 MOA of adjustment pre-built into it. This is beneficial for both sub 12 and long range high power shooting, as the pre-adjustment compensates for projectile drop and moves the projectile strike position closer to the center of the scope adjustment. This gives you a wider range of elevation adjustment when the rifle is zeroed. The next thing I want to show you is just the reg or plenum chamber, so this hole here. So our barrel goes in this hole here, the valve is installed in this hole here, and this chamber here is purely reg or plenum chamber. It travels throughout pretty much to the back of the block here, and is specifically designed to be as large as possible. This gives us better efficiency in the sub 12 rifles, and it allows the high power rifles to achieve the most amount of power possible. Also, I won't give away too much, but if you shoot high power, be on the lookout for the Volumax system, because that is really something quite special. But for now, that's pretty much it with the rifle and the block. I'll just give you a quick look over, just so you can see all the block. Right then, with that all said and done, that's pretty much going to do it for this particular video. I hope you can tell, but I am very excited for the launch of this rifle, and I am absolutely gutted that I have to give this one back. Overall, I have no major complaints, and my only minor gripe is that I would have liked to see a valve on the bottle so that you could remove it under pressure, just like the Alpha or Delta Wolf. To be honest with you, this was probably left out to remove any restrictions between the bottle and regulator, and a big emphasis in the design of this rifle is obviously power and efficiency, so I have to respect the decision, but there you go. With that all said, that's pretty much going to do it for this particular video. Thanks for watching, I hope it's been interesting or useful, and I'll see you in the next one.